Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my brother-in-law see my son after causing me to miss his birth? I'm male 30, got few close friends from college that I hang out with, including my brother-in-law, sister's husband, Austin. My wife and I are expecting our first baby, and because this was our first, we struggled with understanding things like whether my wife was going into labor or just dealing with pain/soreness. We ended up in the hospital for nothing since she was due in July. Therefore, I've limited my time out with the guys, especially in the evening/nighttime. I've skipped meetings with them to stay home by my wife's side, ready for any emergencies. My friends were upset they haven't seen much of me in a while. I explained my situation, but they gave me crap about it every time, especially Austin, who kept pressuring me into going out for a few beers, saying he was in my shoes twice and has experience. He said that XYZ signs, can't say it here, mean my wife would soon be in labor, and advised me to relax. One night I caved into going to his farm since his birthday was days prior and I missed it because my wife got sick. He wasn't happy and whined about it. My wife was with my in-laws and I wanted to call her but couldn't find my phone. I put it on the counter but wasn't there. I borrowed one of their phones after an hour or so of search to call my wife, and her sister picked up asking where I was. I was in dismay when she said she was at the hospital with my wife cause her water broke and she went into labor. I couldn't explain. I drove to the hospital ASAP but was met with my Phil berating me for ignoring his text and 18 missed calls. I wasn't allowed into the delivery room cause my wife screamed at me to stay out. I felt awful. I waited outside while my in-laws berated me for my neglect even when I said I lost my phone. Chris said Austin hid my phone after seeing Phil's text to get back at me for missing his birthday. I blew up at Austin, calling him a sob for doing this. He said Chris was a liar and swore he didn't see any text or calls, and he hid it as joke to scare me a bit. I left after this and haven't seen him in days. The guys got involved begging me to make things right with Austin, who didn't know, otherwise he would have told me, so it was misunderstanding and my wife bears the blame for not letting me into the room. But can I blame her? I refused to see him. My sister said I should let Uncle Austin see little Timmy cause he's longing to meet him, his family, and even cried and said I was being unfair to him and all those years of friendship we had. But I said no, I won't let him meet my son after this. Chris said Austin bragged about it later on, then Chris decided to tell me because he thought it was wrong that I get blamed by my in-laws. Is it really accurate to say he missed the birth? It sounds to me like he was an hour or two late and his wife was so mad she kicked him out when he got there while she was still in labor. Edit, he wasn't present, but he didn't miss it in the sense of getting to the hospital too late, the way I read it. If that's how it happened, it adds an extra layer of mess to this situation. Op is NTA, Austin is 100% the and wife may have made a bad choice in the heat of the moment. I feel bad for Op that he was trying so hard to be there for his wife, and then Austin felt that celebrating the anniversary of his own birth was more important than letting Op celebrate his child's actual birth. When I had my daughter I only had 32 minutes of active labor where I felt any kind of way, no warning, just bam, no more mucus plug, water broke as they were trying to stick the epidural in, despite the midwife saying there was no way I was having that baby that night. Had my husband not been asleep on the hospital couch beside me, he could have missed it completely. While I agree that she shouldn't have punished him and further ruined the moment, I can also see where 18 missed calls could have missed the whole thing. Had he actually missed it? Yeah, I'd have been beyond pissed off. But yeah, this was too far. Op is NTA in my opinion, as his friend did this knowing what could have happened. What if she had died or there was some complications or something really extreme? Op is totally NTA here, but I am glad I am not the only one confused here about her kicking him out. Granted, I wasn't full term, but when I had my oldest I had been really sick the few days leading up and had told my hubby that something wasn't right that morning before I went to work. Baby was still active so I wasn't too worried, just felt something was off. Anyways, end of work day I have my 36-week checkup and my blood pressure is through the roof. I know what's going down when I got sent to the hospital. Could not reach my husband. Finally I called my Phil in tears because I couldn't reach him and was scared and emotional. Fortunately he tracked him down. He was working late and was finishing up concrete. If I remember correctly, my mill beat him there or got there about the same time. I was frustrated because he didn't answer his phone, but I was relieved to have him there, especially since I got life-flighted soon after that. Second baby, same thing happened and I was fairly certain I was being induced again at 36 weeks since they had been watching me closely. So he was there pretty quick, but I sent him home for the first bit of labor so he could change from the workday and get his things from home. No judgment on the wife though. Everyone reacts differently in different circumstances. thinking that in the heat of the moment, the agonizing pain of labor, the stress and all that, it can cause severe complications, so I don't blame her for being more inclined to give birth, make it out alive and then sort through the issue some other time where her nethers aren't being split apart from a whole other human being coming out of her. I think that she can very well be forgiven for the harsh turn away. Births can go wrong with a mere heart rate change, it's neither easy nor safe even with all our medical advances. Women still die, get permanent injuries and can suffer lifetime complications. So, yeah, if the husband wasn't told by her to stay out, doctors and nurses would have been adamant that they sort it later and that she's better off not changing her situation at the moment. Nope. He missed you? Too fucking bad. You were being supportive of your pregnant wife, who of course should come first. What is he 5? You're adults and if he and your friends cannot grasp that you have other priorities and be understanding and supportive then you need better friends. They sound immature and sexist as hell. Why would you want that around your kid? Also his half-assed apology and whining about how unfair you're being is proof that he isn't sorry or a good uncle. Sounds like your wife is fine with your decision, which is all that matters. Your sister can butt out. I'd tell him and your friends, they fucked up royally and instead of doing everything they can to make up for it, they are giving you more shit so they are getting a timeout. If they want to act like kids, treat them like it. Every time they try to break the timeout, add a week. Or just cut them out period. They caused you to miss out on your kid's birth and caused a rift between you, your wife and in-laws. I hope to hell you are doing everything you can to make it up to your wife. Cause honestly, after you couldn't find your phone for 5 minutes you should have been driving home or called your wife. Let your in-laws be mad, but you better fix it with your wife. And def do not let your bill meet your kid yet. NTA. ESH accept your wife. Others are letting you off the hook but you too are an asshole. You're a 30s male and you allowed peer pressure to force you to hang out? Yes, he stole your phone and that makes him the biggest asshole for him deliberately pulling his shit, but you as a grown-ass man should be keeping better tabs on your stuff and you as an adult need to learn to put your foot down, but I guess this was a learning experience for you. I agree with the ruling but for a slightly different reason. Austin is obviously a jerk for doing this and Op needs to seriously reconsider their friendship. But, he should not be using his son as a pawn in the game. He should either tell Austin that the friendship is over, or have an honest heart-to-heart with him about how terrible and mean-spirited this joke was and get a real genuine apology. Making it all about seeing or not seeing the newborn isn't going to end well. Assuming Austin stays in the friend group, is Op literally going to prevent him from seeing his son for the rest of their lives? When the son gets old enough to be aware of what's going on, it will make him uncomfortable and upset. By all means burn or rebuild the bridge with Austin depending on what feels right, but don't put the son in the middle of it. He had nothing to do with any of this. I understand you disagree but this is my point, though, it happened an hour in. Op waited that long to do a check-in call knowing the phone was gone for an hour. I, personally, would not have waited 10 minutes in this kind of situation, and 10 minutes is usually the point where if you're waiting on a potentially important call you go to borrow a phone and let folks know hey this happened, if you need me I'm at an alternate number now, really sorry about this. Never mind it's 2021, and if a big enough search is kicked up for a phone then it would be found because again. Losing a phone, in my opinion, is an automatic party pause and there's no way Bill would have been able to keep his little prank hidden if the whole group was at it and dialing to find the missing phone. Please realize that I'm not putting Op on near the same level as Bill in terms of he still takes the cake there. But Op def had a hand in this mess through his own negligence, never mind his inability to tell his so-called friends to take a rain check. Tentative ESH? Bill is unquestionably TA. Who TF hides an expectant father's phone because he's been devoted to his pregnant wife instead of his buddies. Whether or not he knew what was going on, that was a dick move. But this part confuses me. My wife was with my in-laws and I wanted to call her but couldn't find my phone. You agreed to this outing without first consulting your wife, and without making sure you had your phone? Nope. Absolutely not. With a wife that close to labor, you must have a method of contact available at all times, and you really should have checked in with your wife before you agreed to going out. Also, a 10-minute search and you borrow someone else's phone, not a full hour. You are not blameless in this situation based on your description. Let your wife decide who gets to see the baby, and sneak. ETA, thank you for the awards.